Isn't Bitcoin just a religion? Isn't it just faith? Or people thinking that it has value? Is there really any intrinsic value behind that? This is a question that I just recently got, among many other questions, from one person, one user that it was very, very smart. Go to the link here in the description. You can go to the blog. You can see the actual screenshot I have of the whole thing. And it's an unbelievable question to see what is actually going on and understand what true money is. This is a great opportunity. Quote, if someone can type it into a computer, isn't that how Bitcoin and all other cryptos were made? How can it be used as money or a store of value if it can be created this way? What makes Bitcoin so special when 1,000 other coins can be created the same way? Simply faith. Bitcoin is religion, a belief system, not money. Just because the price of Bitcoin has gone up and does not mean it's a reliable store of value. Pyramid schemes work the same way. You cannot base future returns on past performance. True value lies in goods and services. The best money representation of these goods and services we have found up to this day is gold. This is why people have used it as money for thousands of years. Central banks used to back their currency with it, and they will be forced to do so again someday as their fiat scam unfolds, as all fiat currencies historically go to zero. What is better than owning money, even gold? Owning resources, the means of production, land, armies, shelters, etc. This is where the true value will always exist. This is what wars are always fought over. Religion is simply a psychological tactic, physiological tactic to attempt to control or manipulate followers in order for the leaders of these regions to gain more of the above. So this is my response to him. And again, you can see it here. You can go to the thing, and I'm not looking at the camera because I'm reading from this, but you can go and check it out and see what it was at the blog link and go check it out. You seem very similar to me, very inquisitive. And this is my response to the user, to the comment, YouTube comment. You seem very similar to me, very inquisitive and someone who does their homework. Obviously, way more to answer here, so I will do a video on this. Here we are. I used to be where you are. I was a big gold and silver advocate after the 2008 crash. Wouldn't even give Bitcoin the time of day for years until the 2017 bull run. Then I finally did the homework. In 2018, I went through every objection I had for days and months on end. However, don't believe me, trust but verify. I wish you a lot of fun and enjoyment on this journey of learning. It's an incredible adventure, and learning about Bitcoin has taught me more about the world and changed me more than I could have ever imagined. So, rule number one is, it's very hard to argue with people online. You really can't argue online very, very succinctly and easily in 140 characters or whatever it is, YouTube comments. So, you have to fight in different ways. I'm not going to orange pill somebody. I'm not going to convince him on a YouTube comment necessarily. So this is where you can create more content about it. But you can just say, hey, with open arms, like, hey, I'm sorry you feel that way. Or I'm sorry the news has told you that, right? Nolan Bowerley talks about this a lot. I'm sorry that your news has told you that. I'm sorry that all the FUD has gotten to you. Hey, I'm sorry, whatever. Like, you can do ways like this, or you can just be very compassionate or empathetic and say, hey, like, you seem to be just like me. Like, I was in that same spot. And you're going to have a lot better chance at opening someone up and not just combating. There's a lot of people over the years that, which I've probably done at some point. I try never to do it because it's just not my personality really to be combative and try to come at people on the internet. But there's a lot of the people that are, have fun staying poor if you can't. There's times that I've definitely wanted to say that. And there's times that I have thought, like, hey, I honestly, like, maybe I'll make a comment or two and they'll kind of suck me in and I'll start answering something and I'll be like, hey, like, we can take this offline, or like, I can't explain it all here. You really got to go do your own homework. And that's what I was trying to relay here. I did this. I went through this whole process. I've been where you are. It's not like I just woke up one day and, someone inserted it into my brain and I just have the answer. Like, I've gone through this struggle. So we can relate. I can relate to you. So let's break a couple of these things down here just quick for a couple minutes. If someone can type it into a computer, isn't that how Bitcoin and all other cryptos were made? How can it be used as money or store of value if it can be created this way? What makes Bitcoin so special when 1,000 other coins can be created the same way? Simply faith. Bitcoin is religion, a belief system, not money. This is an unbelievable point. Bitcoin is not typed or typed into a computer, or it's not printed obviously, but it can't be typed into a computer. So right here it shows just a lack of understanding, a simple lack of understanding of how Bitcoin's come into existence, which is totally fine, and that's why I said, hey, just jump into the process and start learning how it's made. Bitcoin simply is made, they're made through mind. They're mined through the mining process. And the block rewards for getting an answer right as one of the mining computers, upholding the network, spending all that energy, right? You have to spend time and energy to do that process. That's where the work comes in, the proof of work. Just like gold has to be mined or silver has to be mined out of the ground, there has to be someone doing that work and expending that energy, getting up in the morning, eating the food, paying for the food, right? Paying for the gas, driving to the mine, putting the work in, expending the sweat, blood, energy to go get that out of the ground. And then you can take that gold or silver piece and you can go take that and trade it for something of equal value. That's how Bitcoins are coming. We've done that now in a digital way, using electricity, using energy. Energy is, the people at the top, the people that are running things, that are run our school systems, run the media, run everything, have brainwashed all of us, right, to think there's global cooling decades ago. Now there's global warming. Now there's climate change. Now it's energy usage. Bitcoin uses energy. And if you haven't realized yet, they're continually scamming you. There's too much population. We need to get, what are we talking about here at the end of the day? I mean, let's just take out the entire Earth. Let's just hit ourselves with 1,000 nuclear bombs and an asteroid, and let's just take us all out. If that's really the case. But of course, those people at the top don't want that. They want only a couple 100 million people left out of the 8 billion, and they want to exist, and their families. But that's it. And again, these aren't my words. Go read the books. Go read the books. So, unless we're going to take that approach, then let's be realistic. Let's be realistic here. Bitcoin is using energy, right? Energy usage is good. Every civilization that has grown or gotten better or produced or become a bigger civilization over time uses energy. You have to use energy. We went from horses and animals, or people, to now we have machines. Now we've got AI. Like this progression of energy usage has only made life better for people all around the earth. And energy is never created nor destroyed. It just shifts shape. It just changes states. That's it. So when people are telling you like, oh, there's energy usage, energy isn't created or destroyed. Energy always exists. Energy is infinite. Energy is abundant. That's such a big scam, and it's such a simple thing to understand when you really just sit back and think about it for a minute. Like gas goes into precipitation, and then precipitation can be a solid or can go back into a gas. A solid can become a liquid, or a solid could become a gas. It just changes states. Energy doesn't go anywhere. Tell me where energy goes. We don't lose energy. Energy is matter, and matter just changes states. So using the miners to uphold the network, you have to spend that time and energy, though, and that cost at the expense of that person to go acquire Bitcoin. Or you have to acquire it by doing a good or a service for someone, and then they give you Bitcoin when you've actually provided that good or service. So there's only those two main ways, there's only those two ways to, which both have to do with energy usage, right? An equal value trade, finite time for finite energy and finite time trade. That's the only way that Bitcoin comes into existence, or someone gets Bitcoin for themselves. So that answers that first part. You can't be typed into a computer. It's algorithmic. Obviously, you have people that have their life wealth stored in there. You're incentivized, just game theory, to not alter the code, right? People aren't going to run your code. If you're trying to make more Bitcoin than 21 million, you'll go do whatever you want. A la see Bcash, see Bitcoin Satoshi Vision, see Ethereum, see all these other thousands of coins that try to go do their own thing, try to copy Bitcoin. Bitcoin's open source, remember that. Bitcoin's open source, everyone can see what's going on, and you can go take it, you can go create your own coin. No one's going to come to it because you're the one that gets all the benefit and all the wealth. Bitcoin, is the beauty of it, is it was the first Satoshi left, never has used his coins, which whether he does or doesn't, or whether account uses that million Bitcoin or not, doesn't matter. No one controls it. It's decentralized. Satoshi himself had to go mine it also. He didn't pre-mine himself. That's the big difference as well. Ethereum, all these guys pre-mined it and gave themselves a bunch, and they're still around. So there's no energy expenditure. They're just scamming it, counterfeiting their coins into existence. Bitcoin is not like that. So it can't be typed in a computer. And if someone does try to alter it, they go off, A couple people follow him, no one else does. And if you know, governments come in and people try to do stuff to Bitcoin, again, the smart people, the people that are holding their wealth are incentivized to keep it at 21 million or less, right? Like they're going to be less over time as people lose their Bitcoin, their keys. So why would you dilute yourself, right? So anyway, there's just so many reasons, but these are great questions. And then Bitcoin being a faith or a religion, a belief, that's true. That's true. It is a belief. It is faith. All money is faith, though. So if we woke up tomorrow, like think about this, the dollar, all fiat currencies historically have gone to zero, all 100% of them, over human nature, over human history. If tomorrow we woke up and realized, because it's not backed by anything, if we realize it's not backed by anything, people just leave the dollar immediately. That's why people are selling bonds off and rates are going higher, because people don't believe in the dollar. They don't believe in the American economy. So the more people that leave the network, the more the dollar falls in value. And that will happen over time. When you see like the DXY, that's compared to other currencies. But when you look at the dollar compared to real estate or compared to Bitcoin, look at the dollar compared to Bitcoin. It's almost gone to zero, because it was 1 cent, 10 cents to buy Bitcoin 12 years ago. Now it's $28,000 or $34,000. It was $26,000 a couple weeks ago. Now it's 34. You used to find $34,000. Before you defined 10 cents to buy a Bitcoin. Now you define $34,000 to buy a Bitcoin. That's how much the dollar has lost value. So people believe that Bitcoin, and as it proves itself more and more, people realize, wow, this is something I can actually put my life, my time and energy in and actually trust. I can't trust the dollar. I can't trust any currencies. And I can't trust gold and silver, as I was there too. Gold and silver is the best thing we had for thousands of years. But we realized, oh, it's being manipulated well. The paper market, because we can't move it over time very well, it can't be trusted, because it gets honeypotted, meaning it gets put in a centralized place, a bank, some vault, Fort Knox, a government, and then they issue more paper claim checks on it, and then they manipulate the price, and they put too many claim checks out. So that's what we're seeing now. Plus, again, you can't move it over time, or move it over space easily. You can move it over time, but you can't move it over space and to have final settlement right away if you're buying something in America, but it's in Thailand. So again, all money is a belief. All money is faith, but it's who has the properties, who has the strongest properties that people are going to trust the most. That's the faith. So again, great questions. And we can go more into these topics, but I want to try to not make this video too long. Just because the Bitcoin price has gone up does not mean it's a reliable store of value. Pyramid schemes work the same way. You cannot base future returns on past performance. This is a great point. You can't base future returns on past performance. However, with Bitcoin, we can't actually guarantee things. Bitcoin, we can guarantee it's going to go up in value. And the reason is, that shocks people, but the reason is because there's, again, only 21 million like we started out, and we can guarantee that they're going to have to print more currencies and all these fiat currencies, because that is past performance. That past performance is 100% failure rate of all fiat currencies. So we know all those currencies can go to zero, which means the Bitcoin price theoretically can go to infinity. So he says, pyramid scheme, Bitcoin, you're actually getting something, right? Remember, there's time and energy, remember, behind that. So a Ponzi scheme or a pyramid scheme means like the guys at the top get away with without doing anything, and then the people below just get sucked in and they get nothing. They don't get anything. They didn't get any Bitcoin. They didn't get a good or a service. They didn't get anything. And so again, it doesn't, by definition, obviously doesn't fit a pyramid scheme or a Ponzi scheme at all, because you're actually getting a store of value. You're actually being able to remit things across the world instantaneously. You're actually able to use this thing. Remember, the Bitcoin network has almost 100% uptime over 14 years. It has 2 times it was down, I believe 2010, 2013, for like 6 hours each. And then they were fixed, and then in 10 years, there's been 100% uptime, right? And so, which you can't say about the American dollar, you can't say about that system, right? Like, banks are collapsing just this year. So I digress. But good questions, good question. True value lies in goods and services. That is correct. That true value really does lie in goods and services. The best money is representation of these goods and services we have found up to this day is gold. That's why people have used it for thousands of years, which we already kind of touched on this. Central banks use to back their currency with it, and they will be forced to do so again someday as the fiat scam unfolds. All fiat currencies have gone to zero. So yeah, I mean, like, he's right with that paragraph. He's right. I mean, he's a Bitcoiner. He just doesn't know it yet. This was me probably 6, 7, 8 years ago. So he's right there, like this close. But he'll get it. If there's some homework and doing 100 hours of homework, he will get it. 10 hours of homework, maybe 1 hour. I went through the same exact journey, thinking, seeing the Uniparty unfold itself 10 years ago, 12 years ago, and then literally having this conversion to, oh my gosh, like they're on the same team and they're wiping us out. They're playing a game on us, and realizing gold and silver is true money. Didn't even know in 2009, 10, 11. And then I figured out in 10, 11, 12, gold and silver were money, were what was backing everything, where it used to be on our dollars. And then, 5, 6, 7 years later, I learned really about Bitcoin. I probably heard about it a couple times in 2013, 14, 15, 16, but I didn't start buying until 2018, actually, because 2017, it was ramping up, it was going up, and I knew as an investor, I was like, I can't buy now because it's up a ton. So I'll wait till it comes back down. And there's a chance it never does, but it's markets, it's humans, it's psychology. So I waited till it came down 2018 and started buying in the lows of 2018. So I've gone through the same process. Brother, sister, whoever this is, we've been there. I've been there. What's better than owning money, even gold? Owning resources, means of production, land, army, shelters, etc. This is where true value will always exist. That is what wars are always fought over. So religion is simply a psychological, physiological tactic to attempt to control and manipulate people, and for the religious leaders to gain more of these resources. So resources, yes, resources are an unbelievable thing to own. Obviously, like we talk about all the time here, right? I always say get Bitcoin, save in Bitcoin. The only true trade for your time and energy is finite for finite. It's the only two things I know. It's representation, right? Bitcoin is a ledger. It is holding your wealth and growing your wealth over time. That's all it is, right? You're holding it for finite. And the reason it's going to grow in value over time is more people will come to the network, and more of these resources are actually going to be flooding into Bitcoin, right? People are going to leave art eventually when the people realize I don't have to put, a lot of these, this has to do with monetary premium. Monetary premium is in housing, monetary premium is in stocks, monetary premium is in art, monetary premium is in land, in cattle, in avocados, because monetary premium is where people are trying to get away from inflation. Inflation is so insidious that we don't even think about it, but we're trying to, as Robert Kiyosaki says, or many people, right? You have to buy assets, gotta buy assets. Well, why is that? They're talking about monetary premium. When you don't have a money, when you just have a currency that's being inflated away and being stolen, your time and energy is stolen from you, you then have to sell those paper dollars, paper yen, whatever it is, your fiat, you have to sell that, get away from it, and buy and acquire assets. Things that will hedge in value or hopefully grow in value or pay you a monthly dividend or income or passive income or something to that nature, right? So with Bitcoin, it will continue sucking in people that own bonds, realizing, wow, this is a slave trade. A government bond, not corporate bonds, but government bonds are modern day slavery. I'm paying the government to then put me in bondage, my family in bondage, because now I have to get taxed in the future to pay this principal and interest back in the future. You're guaranteeing your slavery. That's what government bonds are. Government doesn't produce anything. So where are they going to get that from? Taxation or inflation. That's it. Think about how insidious it is. Think about how insane that is. So you're going to see people that hold their money insured, trying to escape banks. You're going to see the people in bonds, many, the bond market, the gold market, they're all going to flood to this monetary premium. You're going to have people that will use these things eventually, right? Because as more and more people flee the bond market, the whole thing hopefully blows up government-wise, but if you're going to have people that flee the bond market eventually, and then you lose more and more its value, guess what? The rate goes up. So at some point, equilibrium will be reached, and you'll have people go back into bonds because they'll say, hey, I'm getting a 10% interest rate or 15% interest rate. In Bitcoin, maybe 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now, when it stops going up 100% on average compound annual growth rate a year, it might, decades from now, come down to 5% or 10% a year or whatever it is, right? So you're going to have these equilibriums where now housing makes sense. As people leave housing, I've done this myself. I'm an example of this. I have sold rental properties and put it into Bitcoin because I don't need to hold my wealth in properties and the monetary premium anymore. There's headaches with that, and there's things that go on with every asset. So I just put it in Bitcoin because it's the most trusted thing there is. It's the most secure thing there is. So now I can sit, and again, this year, Bitcoin's up 110% this year alone. It's up 100 to 150% since the lows of last year when I was buying a ton. So you think about, nothing has even come close to that. So it's crazy to even think about and say, and I've been talking about this for years now, right? And me and many other people. So this will continue to happen, and they'll probably come down or retrace another 20% or 30%. It's going to go up another 100%, and then another 300%, another 500% over the next year or two as the bull run hits and stuff like that. And we can guarantee that because of the halving, and many things are happening, all the fundamental factors, and then fiat going to zero, etc. Like these things are going to happen, and owning these resources is smart because you want to have bare assets. And that's why I talk about owning Bitcoin and then owning a little bit of gold and silver, owning land, firearms, security, ammo, water, energy, things like that. You want to be able to have those things in case an asteroid does hit the Earth and knocks out the entire grid, all the satellites, everything. The Bitcoin network is somehow down, and millions of nodes, everything goes out at once. I mean, that's a tail risk. Obviously, it's almost next to zero a possibility of happening, but I'm a guy that likes to be prepared. So, have some of those physical things too. Have some of the things on you. And, I'm the biggest proponent of Bitcoin, but I'm still not going to sit here and say, I have no idea. I'm not God. I have no idea what's going to happen. So be prepared. Majority of my wealth will be in Bitcoin someday. It's not there yet. It's getting close to majority, but it's going to be getting there because I had a lot of other assets before that. So it's slowly taking over and eating my whole portfolio. I think in 5 to 10 years, it'll be 99% of my portfolio because it's money. You're saving in true money, the purest money, really the only money we've ever had as humans, and it will continue growing in value because, again, more people come to the network, more people are bringing their monetary premium away from other assets and into Bitcoin, art, like people are storing their wealth in art, right? The traditional thing was land, gold, and art. Well, art's not going to be as expensive some days. People are like, well, why would I hold this in art when I can just put it in Bitcoin, easily zip it around the world? I can't do that with art, right? It takes a plane, a boat. These things are still going to exist, though. So I'm not saying that. Land's going to exist, right? Art's going to exist, gold, probably bonds. But it's not going to be at the level, this fervor of like, I got to get into these things, I got to sell my dollars. When Bitcoin exists, and it's hyper-Bitcoinization, this world where it's just Bitcoin, you're going to have people be able to just save in that, whether you're were homeless on the street and now you're not, or didn't have a bank account, or frozen out and now you do because of Bitcoin. So you think about the ramifications, then you think about mining and how it's actually going to clean up the environment, not the fake ESG stuff and the things that are going stabilizing power grids, cleaning up the environment. And I haven't even touched on that. And anyway, I want to end this here. Religion is simply a psychological or physiological tactic to attempt to control or manipulate followers in order of these leaders regions to gain more of the above. So I'm a Roman Catholic boy. Humans are fallible, right? There's been many problems within the Catholic Church over the years. There's been many problems with many of the churches, right? Martin Luther, I just learned recently, was really big into trying to create the modern day public education system to get all of the people indoctrinated, basically. So, what are we going to do here at the end of the day? We're all humans, we're fallible. The Pope all the way on down. Martin Luther, doesn't matter. I mean, like, there's a lot of weird things that a lot of humans have done, whether they're religious or not. I would actually contend, though, that religious, it's not a tactic of religious people necessarily, and there could be, right? But it's more of a tactic of governments, which is its own religion. So, in a way, you're right. And great questions, though, man, great questions. But communism, Marxism, this one world governmentism, that's a religion. That's the scariest religion I've ever seen in my life. Really, like satanic culture. That's the religion that they're in, and that is a tactic. So you're right in that. It's not the religion in the formal aspect. It's this informal world that none of us really talk about. Very few people talk about in public. This informal satanic religion death cult, that people that worship death and destruction and depopulation. Those people, yes, it is a tactic to manipulate followers in order for those leaders and those religions, those informal religions, to gain more of the above, all the resources. So that's why Bitcoin fixes that. That's why Bitcoin fixes this, because they can't print it. Coming back all the full circle, they can't destroy the currency base and then take your wealth from you and then gain more of those resources insidiously, silently, through inflation and stealing your time and energy without you being able to have a say about it. That's why I fight for Bitcoin. That's why Bitcoiners have seen the light, and that's why they are very fervent supporters and very active and very toxic about it, because they're like, stop effing with my world, our world. I'm trying to save you. That's why people feel that way. So I'm just, that's really the explanation at the end of the day. So, incredible question. Hopefully that answers some questions many of you might have as well. Let me know what other ones you have, and we'll answer them here. But again, please share this out. The algorithm hates truth. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Question everything with boldness, even the existence of God himself. Trust what I'm saying, but verify it. You have to verify what I'm saying. And this is not financial advice, it's freedom advice. And I look forward to seeing you on the next one.